Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, here to bring you another episode review from Season 6 of The Loud House. Today's episode is titled, All the Rage. First we'll discuss the plot, and then my thoughts and critiques with my final score. So, let's get right into it. In this episode, Lincoln and his friends find out Clyde is really good at dodgeball when he gets angry, and they try to intentionally infuriate their friend by reminding him of what happened on a recent episode of Operation Desert Storm. But after the issue Clyde had with the show is resolved, the gang try to get him angry again before they have to face off against the 8th graders. However, they're forced to come clean when Clyde is about to tell off Principal Ramirez after they confess to dumping trash around the school, another one of Clyde's pet peeves. The episode ends with Clyde going on a dodgeball rampage by single-handedly eliminating all the 8th graders after they throw some trash on the gym floor, but he and his friends are going to need a lot more trash before they have to face off against a Viking dodgeball team from Iceland, courtesy of Mr. Bolhoefner. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to my thoughts and critiques. The moment this episode started, I noticed something that completely threw me off at first. All the kids were standing side by side playing dodgeball and getting pummeled in the process. Remember that snake formation they used to use during the first 4 seasons? Whatever happened to that? I mean, they tried doing it here, but it clearly wasn't working this time. Then I remembered they had a hard time trying to play dodgeball back in the episode Schooled and Saved by the Spell. So I guess what worked in elementary school is no longer going to work in middle school. That's when they came up with a new strategy to play the game, courtesy of Clyde, and this kid never realized his special gift as an expert dodgeball player until it was pointed out to him. Maybe that's a little convenient, but you gotta take what you can. So yes, we find out Clyde becomes a one-man dodgeball machine when he gets mad, and at least he's channeling his anger into something productive, so that's good. He has 2 things that trigger him beyond belief. His first trigger is that he gets super mad about certain contestants and when something scandalous happens on Operation Desert Storm. And the other is he gets really mad about people not picking up their trash, making him into some sort of hardcore yet very low-key eco-lover who would never hurt the planet or even a tiny bug. He does have other things that get on his bad side, like people chewing with their mouths open and animals being dressed up for the wrong holidays, but just not enough to blow a stack. Regardless, we rarely ever see him go off the deep end like he did in this episode, and it was nice to see his compassion for the planet, so I appreciate learning about these new layers being added to his character. Even though I would have preferred this kind of characterization to go to someone who isn't an already more than established character like Clyde, I understood what this anger-driven characterization was trying to demonstrate throughout the episode. Everyone has something that triggers them in the worst way, and bad decisions made on a favorite TV show and people littering just happen to be Clyde's personal pet peeves. A very over-the-top and exaggerated reaction when being reminded of his triggers? Yeah, pretty much, but it's a cartoon, and cartoons are no strangers to making exaggerations for comedic effect. I think the best thing about this reveal in Clyde's character is that it doesn't contradict any of the past instances where he was seen playing dodgeball, at least from what I can remember. He was never seen talking about what may have infuriated him on TV the night before, and we certainly never saw him going into a fit of rage when someone failed to properly dispose of their trash at school. Come to think of it, I don't think there's ever been a moment throughout the entire series prior to this episode where Clyde encounters someone leaving their garbage in anything but a trash can and then getting triggered over it. I could be wrong about that, and feel free to point out in the comments if that has happened in the past, but either way, just like what happened to Liam in the episode Cowpie Kid, we learned something new about Clyde, and it helps make him a more well-rounded and realistically relatable character. Continuing with my talk of the characters, while I will admit Lincoln and pals intentionally getting Clyde mad to the point where they nearly got him in trouble with the principal sort of rubbed me the wrong way, I can't say their actions were truly selfish in the long run. They were just using their friend's untapped anger so they would no longer have to be on the receiving end of getting smacked around by dodgeballs. And I don't believe Clyde would have wanted to get smacked around either. It's not like they were going to use Clyde's rage for anything other than dodgeball, so at the bare minimum I will give the kids a little credit for not taking full advantage of Clyde's triggers. They were still very much remorseful in their actions, and they were willing to let Clyde sit out of the game against the 8th graders and risk getting decimated with dodgeballs as their way of making it up to him for what they had done, literally taking one for the team. But despite being very disappointed in what his friends tried to do to him, all in the name of dodgeball, Clyde still came through in the end by completely annihilating the 8th graders after that one girl and her candy wrapper pushed him over the edge. Now that's the mark of a good friend. And finally, there's Mr. Bolhoefner as the substitute gym teacher. For once, he was actually likable. Even though he still displayed some of his usual anger-filled mannerisms, he was a lot more reserved this time around. He wasn't snapping at the kids, and he wasn't treating them bad whatsoever. The fact he acted more pleasantly upbeat and crediting Lincoln's friends as the best dodgeball team in America was both shocking, but very much appreciated. If future episodes could present him the way he was presented here a lot more often, that would be a great step in the right direction to making him more tolerable, and it would make up for a lot of his previous appearances. I also wonder if he knows any other international dodgeball teams besides the one from Iceland. Knowing the rich history he has around the world, it certainly wouldn't surprise me if he did. Now, before I get to my final thoughts, there's a potential plot hole I noticed in the episode. Dodgeball week ended on Friday, and Lincoln was seen walking home from school, and that's when Bolhoefner said he and his friends were going to play against the 8th graders on Monday, but then we cut back to the inside of the school with Lincoln discussing what was going to happen. Then there's the montage of the kids trying to get Clyde angry before the game starts in 2 hours, that being spoken directly by Lincoln, and the montage ends with the Monday time card and the kids preparing to dump trash around the school. The correct sequence should have been Lincoln and Bolhoefner talking on Friday afternoon, followed by the Monday time card, then Lincoln discussing his plan on Monday morning, and then starting the montage with Lincoln saying they only have 2 hours to get Clyde mad before the game starts, and finally ending with the kids preparing to dump their trash around the school. I don't know if there was a goof on writing Lincoln's dialogue or the animators placing particular scenes out of sequential order, maybe a combination of both, but it's one of those little things you never really notice until you go back and rewatch the episode. The more you know. Overall, this episode did a decent job in adding more depth to Clyde's character by exploring the dodgeball playing and eco-friendly side of his personality. Even though I still believe an established character like him doesn't need too much depth that comes at the cost of robbing a different character from being more thoroughly developed, if that makes any sense. His friends may have taken advantage of his hidden gift, but not to the point where he was going to be used for more than just dodgeball. And them willing to take a beating to make it up to Clyde was both very risky, but very commendable when you think about it. Mr. Bolhoefner's more tolerable performance is what brought the episode up when I was expecting him to bring it down, so that was a big and surprising positive. Outside of the possible timeline plot hole during the second half, like I said, this was a decent episode, and with or without exaggerated fits of anger, just remember everyone gets ticked off about something, and it's good to channel your anger into something productive, like chucking a red rubber ball at people. Maybe it's not the greatest thing to be on the receiving end of said ball, but hey, according to Bolhoefner, hardship builds character, right? With that said, I give All the Rage an 8 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of All the Rage. I will end this review with something that just bothers me and knowing it's going to be there forever. During the first montage of Lincoln and pals trying to get Clyde mad while they were playing dodgeball, Liam was talking to Clyde, but he was talking in Zach's voice. How did anyone putting the episode together not notice this? Was Zach originally supposed to be in Liam's place and they decided to switch characters at the last second? If so, then why not have Laura Jill Miller re-record Jessica DiCicco's line of dialogue? It's just like when Lenny spoke in Luann's voice in the episode Snoop's On. Consistency, people. Consistency. But anyway, as far as this episode goes, what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.